So what we found in Run on Less Electric Depot is you need to get the trucks, you need to get the charging infrastructure in place, you need to train everybody on how this is going to work, and then you can start moving and delivering freight. But that's not all you need in order to be successful. There's some other aspects that are important, one of which is managing the charging.
Managed charging helps make sure the vehicles you want charged first are charged first. It helps ensure that you're not charging vehicles when electricity prices are their highest.
We always recommend that you charge as low and slow as you can, basically as fast as necessary and as slow as possible. That's going to reduce the overall demand charge, the full amount of electricity that's being sent to an individual vehicle at any one given time. And this is how you avoid demand charges on your power bill, and ultimately that equates to the lowest running cost per mile.
Everyone wants a charger 100% all the time. I need it as quickly as possible, when in reality you could park them overnight and you have 8 to sometimes 15 hours to charge, where you don't have to spend a lot of money on the charging infrastructure, and you could adopt more trucks in your fleet by not needing larger chargers.
If a fleet is scaling their depots and they have a limited amount of power at that depot, then often they'll apply load management or charge management. And so what we can do is start making those load management systems a lot more intelligent if they can also read the vehicle side data and the telematics data to know, well, which vehicle should have that power first and prioritized. And then that just gives more assurance to the fleet that the vehicles will be ready when they need to be ready.
When you add so much load onto a facility, you have to make sure you're as efficient as possible before you add that load. So making sure that your electrical systems, mechanical systems, your lighting systems, your building control systems, and your renewable energy sources are sized and working appropriately. So when you make those investments, you're not spending more than what you need to. In this particular location, Penske's using Shell Sky software to really help manage the chargers and to give them the data they need to make good, smart charging decisions.
Software is almost as important as getting the juice to the site, because using a software system like the Prologis backend, what you can do is optimize your fleet. You can say, hey, this truck has to roll again at 5. I've got to put it on the 350 kilowatt charger to get it up and back out. These other ones go out at 6 a.m. in the morning. We can throttle that, right? We can lower the energy. What the software system does is takes the guesswork out. So you can say, hey, truck 2's coming back, awesome, put it on the fast charger, the rest of them, you park it over here, go take your break, right? So you can automate that. The other side of it is that for the first time in history, how you fuel a fleet directly impacts your cost of that fuel.
Everything is digital and controlled on the vehicles and the chargers. You get a ton more information to allow you to manage to your metrics for success, whether that is your miles traveled, whether that is the energy consumption in the vehicles or the energy consumption on site.
Some of these systems are set up to where we can do remote starts. For example, we may have one session start at 9 o'clock at night and then one session start at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's say if we had a little power incident and let's say 1 o'clock in the morning, and if the system is still offline, come 2 o'clock, that remote start is still going to trigger and it'll still want to charge. So regardless if you have a power incident any time of day, once it comes back online, the InControl software will still send that signal to that charger to say, please charge.
We understand that the demand for a fleet manager goes far beyond simple notifications and charge management. It really is it's an operation tool for that fleet manager to understand what the vehicles are doing and the charging infrastructure is doing at the time. So it gives the ability to use our Omega charge management to fluctuate in between each one of those chargers and make sure that all the trucks are charged and ready to go every single morning. So when they come back to the depot and they plug in, not only does our software identify which truck it is, the state of charge, how much energy it's going to need, and that helps us to provide them the lowest cost of energy for that charging cycle.
Some of these trucks will run a full week without a charge, so that's only 10 hours of charging. So in 2 weeks, 20 hours of charging is going to be pennies on the dollar. So the savings is monumental.
We've been working with a couple of fleets who are exploring wireless charging, inductive charging as a solution to limited real estate space. We've also heard of overhead charging and indoor depots, and so I think there's a lot of room for creativity. There needs to be a lot of room for creativity in order to meet some of those urban depot challenges.
Being able to install infrastructure indoors as much as possible in colder climates does help more efficiently charge the batteries. Due to the nature of the routes that Purolator does, they have a long enough dwell time overnight typically anywhere between 10 and 12 hours. It's a sweet spot for level 2 charging. There's no need for fast charging on these vehicles. So we do have a charge management system on board to the vehicle. A lot of the charge management will be done through the chargers themselves. They're pulling power from the building, smart charging, right? So there's load management built into the chargers. The charger knows what the building load is at a given time. The vehicle doesn't. Now we do have our own system on board to help optimize our charge when we receive it, but the bulk of the management will be done from the infrastructure side.
If you're going from a high altitude city and your first run of the day is downhill, you don't want your vehicle fully fueled.
You don't want to charge it all the way up to 100% because then you won't have that regenerative braking. You can strategically charge it to, let's say, 80 or 85% or whatever is needed in this case. You can parameterize the truck. You can actually program a charge before you leave your shift at the end of the day to say that I want my truck to be 85% full at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I want the cabin to be 72 degrees. And while the truck is plugged into a charger, it'll make sure that it's in exactly those conditions when the driver arrives in the morning. These are the kind of things that you can plan, and the more reliable and predictable your route is, the easier that is to do.
Managed charging is really important to these fleets, not just down the road, but early on in their journey.
So fleets are going to get much smarter on times they want to charge and times they don't want to charge, and situations that change how they want to charge.
Right now, we're just at the infancy of it. So once we get more data and we can collect it and understand it, that's when we're going to get better and better and better at it.